Welcome back to LonelyMan BGs, and this video over Wild Serengeti, a board game from Bad Comet Games. Wild Serengeti is a documentary-making game where players will act as directors and endeavor to complete varying scenes of wild animals in order to produce the greatest wildlife documentary. The game plays between 2 and 4 players and also offers a solo mode. Game time is approximately 60 to 90 minutes. The goal of Wild Serengeti is to become the player with the highest documentary score by the end of the game, represented by numbers bordering the outside of the main game board. 6 rounds will be played throughout the game, which is kept track of by the Rock of Ages. During these rounds, players will take actions, starting with the player who has the first player marker. This is the map or game board. It is made up of a series of 49 spaces depicting the area where players will attempt to film their scenes. Each space has a circular icon indicating the type of terrain that makes up that area. This is the scene card deck, comprised of 168 scene cards. During setup, each player will draw 8 of these cards from this deck, keeping 4 of their choice. Additionally, 6 scene cards will be drawn and formed into a pool at the edge of the map. Players will use actions to obtain these cards. Each scene card displays a particular animal placement sequence which a player can complete to earn points and other resources. This scene card, for example, requires a vulture and an elephant in a straight line somewhere on the map, with the vulture placed in a grassland terrain. Besides terrain and straight line considerations, other scenes may require animals to be located in one of the 8 adjacent spaces between the animals. Once a scene card is completed, players will place them in their player area, below their video gallery bar. As mentioned, completing scene cards can give not only points, but also resources and icons. The 2 types of resources are food tokens and SFX tokens, which can be spent freely by a player during their turn. When a food token is spent, the player may move one animal of their choice 1 space on the map cardinally. Spending a special effect token allows the player to ignore a single terrain condition on a scene card when completing it. Icons are shown in the upper right corner of the scene card, and these act as benefits for the remainder of the game once the scene card has been completed. Some icons generate resources each round, while others, like leaves, flowers, and fruit, offer more points for collecting a certain number of icons, or even sets of icons. Points are also given if players have a certain number of likes, or if a scene card is particularly rare and difficult to complete. Now that we have a handle on scene cards, let's see how actions work and what type of actions players can take. This is the action board, which shows the 8 actions a player can take. During setup, players receive one of their player markers to the play area, as well as some coins. Taking an action requires the player to use this marker as well as a single coin. If the player wants to max out and take a second action on their turn, they must spend an additional 2 coins. Players will place their marker on whichever action they choose to take. Some of these spaces may be locked depending on player count. The 4 upper boxes of the action board contain animal meeples for carnivorous predators, large mammals, scavengers, and migratory herbivores. When a player decides to take one of these actions, they move a single animal from the chosen box to any open space on the map, arranging them so as to complete the scene card in their array. 2 of the actions allow players to either move animals or swap their positions, while the final 2 actions are concerned with gaining more scene cards. Once all players have finished their turns, moving animals to the map, gaining scene cards, spending resources, and more, preparation for the next round begins. This is when the round marker is moved to the next round space, and a host of other events may occur. During rounds 4 and 6, award ceremonies are held, where players count how many of the shown animals they have completed on their scene cards, as well as how many animal icons they have earned. Whoever has the most earns the title shown, as well as the points associated, such as Lion Lover or Wildebeest Wooer. And I think we all know someone who could have spent a little more time wooing the wildebeest.
Scar!
No, not Scar, silly.
Mufasa! Ooh. Do it again. Mufasa! Ooh. Mufasa! Mufasa! Mufasa!
These are Great Migration cards. During the last 3 rounds of the game, one of these is drawn from the deck. These cards show a pattern corresponding to the map, and if animals are in these spaces when the card is drawn, they are sent back to the action board. Once the 6th round ends, the game is over and players count up the documentary scores to see who won. There is one more element that can be added after the players have a game or two under their belt, and that is these specialist cards. At the beginning of the game, each player receives a number of specialist cards and chooses one. The abilities of the specialist are active throughout the game and offer their individual skills to the player. The photographer, for example, counts every 3 likes she receives as an extra rare icon, while the adventurer earns extra points for completing fewer seen cards. There are 12 specialist cards in the game, which adds variability and changes the player's goals each time they play. And this concludes our video on Wild Serengeti. To learn more, be sure to check out the link in the description to see the Kickstarter page. Thanks for watching.